Now, the rest of the story.
So, what do you work on once you're done with harvest? Field work and everything else. Well, we're not done putting everything away for the winter, but we're going back to making fence. This has been a project that's been hanging over our heads since about mid-harvest. And for those that can't quite tell where we're at my brother's place. This has been a project that he's been gradually working on for better part of a month. They took down his barn out of his place, largely because it was a very big safety hazard. It was getting to the point where the right amount of wind, and we're actually really surprised that that windstorm that came through in the summer didn't knock it over. It did push it in a little bit. I mean, it moved it. But it was getting to the point where we were worried about it falling on largely Ryan's cattle. Also, we're getting to the point where we're going to have some little ones running around here, and nobody wants to see our kids getting hurt. So logically, it really did just make sense to take the initiative and wrap a rope around it or cable around it and pull it down, which is ultimately what they ended up doing. Ryan's been gradually cleaning it up, and with the barn going down, it actually destroyed this fence that we're putting back in, which is fine because that whole stretch through there was getting pretty shook. He went through, I think he used 5, 6, 7 loads of gravel, got everything kind of leveled back out, and basically put everything back up where it needs to be between moving dirt and kind of getting a nice base layer down for the lot itself. Granted, gravel isn't as nice as concrete. Well, concrete's expensive, and it also goes to why is the rest of this barn still standing? Well, it's not necessarily because we wouldn't like to put in a new pole shed or whatever else. It's just that, well, money's money, and it's not like it's not there. It's just that it has to go towards other projects, other requirements, other bills, and, well, that's long and the short, the best way to say that. So we're actually working. It's like 13 degrees out. You can see that's why Dad and I are wearing overalls. And when you're kneeling on the ground and everything else, picking these boards up and everything that, you get cold actually rather quick. Clear and cold is appropriate for December. This was taken December 1st. And Ryan's been getting kind of anxious and getting this put back in because this lot is where he does feed his cattle throughout the winter. Granted, it doesn't sound like he's going to be locking his cows in the lot all winter, but definitely going to be needing it for sorting his calves out and everything else, because the lower lot, if you look to the left, right ahead of the 40/20, is our steer lot. And we kind of need this lot all fixed up and closed in so we can get his cows and calves sorted out and his steers and heifers down to the feed lot. And with it being 13 degrees out, the ground is froze. We had about 2 to 3 inches of frost. We were actually slamming these posts through, and there was 2 along this whole stretch that took quite a bit of convincing to get them down. We didn't have any issues ultimately getting all the posts in. I do believe, I don't know if I caught it, where we actually used the JCB and kind of pushed the post back up straight, because you can see we're trying to get it straightened out right now. When you're trying to pound these posts on basically concrete, it seems like they do tend to want to migrate. They start to walk, and it makes it kind of difficult to get them lined up right. And the other problem too, and probably our biggest complaint, excuse me, is the fact that when you're trying to pound posts, growing up, it wasn't that big of a deal to have straight wood posts picked up from your supplier. Anymore now, every other post that we were grabbing was crooked. I mean, that literally did not have a straight edge on it at all. So that made it kind of difficult putting the posts in and choosing which ones went where. The center posts, the center of the boards that we're putting in for supports, because we got the two on the edge, of course, and then we're putting a middle one in for support because the cattle like to hit this fence and bounce off of it. Not so much the 1,200-pound cows, but the idiot steers, heifers that are young and dumb and full of way too much energy. A fence that they can bounce off is very much needed. So the center boards, you can see actually in front of the JCB, you got 3 posts. By using the center posts being the crooked, ugly looking ones, we could get away with them migrating a little bit. They didn't have to be exactly centered in the spans that they were covering. So, and exactly like Ryan said at the end of the day, when it comes to making a fence, you aren't trying to make a fence that is going to keep a 1,200-pound cow in. You're trying to make a 1,200-pound fence that a cow is going to look at and go, I can probably get through that, but I'm going to get hurt. I think that's a pretty good way to say it. This fence, Dad says this stretch originally was put in 1980. Grandpa bought this farm in particular, in 1980, the same year that my dad started working for Grandpa. So my dad actually, this is the second time around we're putting these fences in, and just like he said yesterday, might be the second time for Dad, but it'll probably be the last time for him. If he says if we have to go through and do this for a third time, it'll be his kids and his grandkids, and he will fully be in a supervisory position at that point. So, kind of a scrapped together video. I know I'm trying to get back in the groove of doing videos again. I got a lot of little things to do, and working with cattle and getting gates set up is a big one. So that's where I'm headed right now. So until next time, take care, take it easy, keep in touch. I'll talk to you later.